and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Netflix buffering, YouTube spinning, devices not connecting, Zoom calls dropping. It's frustrating. Let's end your frustration by signing up for fiber internet in Clinton. Click the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click the icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. A Central Illinois law enforcement agency is reviewing its local ordinances following a meeting regarding the state's complex legal classifications for e-bikes and motorized scooters. Monticello Police Chief Rob Ross explains that while a pending state bill slated to be in effect at the start of next year aims to address some legislative discrepancies, local municipalities currently retain the authority to construct targeted local ordinances to manage alternative vehicles' safety.
We had a meeting with the Assistant State's Attorney here last week just to kind of go over what the regulations are, because if you read the statute, it's like reading the Greek language. And in Illinois, that's saying something. So what we found out is there's a lot of gray area and a big gap in the law. Much like we found out with bath salts and everything else, the law is about 2 or 3 years behind when something happens. So from what we gather, there is a new law that may be passed, but that won't take effect until January 1st of 27. That's going to try to plug some of these gaps. But what we're looking at is for e-scooters, and then you have the e-bicycles. You can have a gasoline-powered bicycle, just a little 2-cylinder engine, as long as they have pedals. That there's no rules against that.
The legal framework for e-bikes establishes 3 distinct operational tiers based on top speed and power delivery, though all 3 are classified as pedal-assisted. Class 1 e-bikes maintain a maximum speed of 20 miles per hour and carry no rider age restrictions. Class 2 models also cap at 20 miles per hour but feature a direct throttle mechanism that operates without pedaling, also without an age limit, while Class 3 models can achieve speeds of up to 28 miles per hour. State law mandates that our operators must be at least 16 years of age.
But then what we're finding for e-bikes, and I didn't know this until we actually started diving into it, there's different classes of e-bikes. They have a class, they're all pedal assisted, a class 1, and it looks like it goes off of speed for some of it. A class 1, the max speed is supposed to be 20 miles an hour and there's no age limit. A class 2 bike can go up to 20, but it has a throttle on it, but again, no age limit. And then a class 3 can go up to 28 miles an hour, and you have to be 16 years of age for that. Obviously, those are good for roads, bike lanes, shared roads. There's a lot of local ordinances that may come in that says you can't have them like on a bike or on a like a walking trail or a hiking trail. The e-bikes are not allowed to be ridden on the sidewalks. And then we go into the fun of the e-scooter, which is just, again, like reading the Greek language. The e-scooters, a person must be at least 18, but there's also a gap in there that says that you do not need a license for them.
While all 3 classes are permitted on standard roadways, dedicated bike lanes, and shared paths, Illinois law strictly prohibits riding e-bikes on public sidewalks. The chief points out that local ordinances frequently bar their use on walking or hiking trails.
I think in between the Sheriff's Association, the Chiefs Association, and a few state representatives, really said, well, okay, it says in one part of this it's 18, but now you're saying that they don't need a license. What are we going off of? So we read the statute, and it looks like the state government knew that this was going to be a mess at some point. So then they allowed local municipalities to be able to control it. So what we're looking at, sort of like what I think Paxton is looking at it at an ordinance. I've been instructed to take a look at it. Not that we're going to pass anything or ban them or anything else like that. We just want to see what's out there. So we're looking at an ordinance that would regulate it just like what we would do for golf carts and our UTVs that we permit. We make sure that those have lights and a slow moving emblem, things like that. We're looking at putting something together just so we kind of hone this down. Obviously, we don't want to see people getting hurt. We don't want to see people, jetting out into traffic. We were talking before, some of these that when we were on the break, I see some that are going for $150, and then I see one that's going for $1,100. We've seen some that have a max speed of 40 miles an hour. I don't know if that's with them tinkering with the motor or not, but that's nuts to me. To be on a scooter that doesn't have a lot of protection on it, and thinking you're going to go down like one of the main arteries.
To manage these variations, Monticello officials are exploring regulatory frameworks similar to the city's existing permitting systems for golf carts and utility terrain vehicles, or UTVs. Chief Bross emphasizes any potential local ordinance would focus strictly on basic traffic safety, such as requiring functional lighting rather than sweeping bans. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, Social Security discusses working while receiving retirement benefits. The first real stretch of seasonal heat will arrive this week. Ed Shimon with the National Weather Service in Lincoln explains that as the moisture departs the area, temperatures will climb rapidly. Daytime highs are projected to hit nearly 90 on Tuesday before soaring well into the 90s on Wednesday and Thursday.
The theme is going to be hot. The heat's going to come in, the humidity's not going away. We're seeing the shower chances taper off Monday night, still lingering in the evening with 70% chance on Monday night. And even on Tuesday, some pop-up 40% chance there. So roughly a little less than half the county may get some rain there. But the high on Tuesday goes up to 89. And then from there, once we get rid of the shower chances Tuesday night, Wednesday, the sun comes out and we're 93. Thursday, hot, 95. And when that says 95, that's in the shade. If you're in the sun, you can add 15. Then the heat index is going to be added to that. So our heat indices are very much likely going to be in the low 100s. So we usually issue heat advisories around 105 heat index. But if we're going to get up to about 110 heat index, then we go with the excessive heat warnings. It's going to be pretty hot mid to late week, so we're going to have to really just hydrate all week long. Just make a daily note that you want to drink till you really feel like, oh, I'm kind of almost full from drinking, because then you're going to be hydrated enough that particular day.
Shimon is reminding of the notifications regarding heat safety that may come across the wire this week. The National Weather Service typically issues standard heat advisories when the index reaches 105, but upgrades to an excessive heat warning if the heat index is projected to reach 110.
The numbers are triggered by what we have for heat index or parent temperature. There's other like wet bulb globe temperature that the schools are really using for any sporting activities or practices. And those are a lot lower numbers. When you hear a wet bulb globe temp in the low 80s, that's kind of the equivalent of heat indices, nearing upper 90s to near 100s at times. But wet bulb globe temp takes into account more things than just the heat index. But we issue our headlines for a heat advisory at 105 heat index and excessive heat or extreme heat warning, with 110 heat index. And impacts happen way lower than when we have headlines. I kind of want to just make sure that everybody understands that. If you're outside in the sun and the temperature's in the low 90s, we aren't going to have a heat advisory or an extreme heat warning probably, unless the humidity is really high. But you start to feel impacts well below when we have, depending on, your hydration level and things like that, or activities. So don't always wait. Well, they don't have a heat advisory out, so I should be okay. Always plan for, on the side of overhydrating. If you're going to have to be outside doing any kind of activities, whether it's sports, work, or, redoing a deck, whatever you're doing outside, just always be cognizant. You want to really excessively hydrate prior to getting in there so your body's ready to go.
To combat the extended thermal stress, weather officials are urging community members to proactively overhydrate. Shimon recommends tracking water intake continuously throughout the day, drinking to the point of feeling physically full to ensure the body maintains adequate baseline hydration reserves before facing the heat.
You start to even get a little bit of a headache while you're outside, you're already at the point of, then you're seeing some of, not necessarily, just not heat stroke, but, your body is starting to succumb and losing too much moisture. Your brain needs white moisture to function. And if it starts to lose it to the skin for sweating, you're going to feel that headache pretty quickly. And then immediately, get out of the heat, start hydrating, take a break, because it could quickly turn into the heat exhaustion. And then, where your body starts to, it's over excessively depleted its moisture, and then it starts to slow down, and it's sweating, and you really almost feel hot and clammy, or so to speak, dry. Skin changes function there. But it's really important, because we do have a lot of loss of life every year with heat. Heat is number one nationwide for our loss of life from a weather-related, factor. Wow. It's heat by far, and it's not even close. I mean, heat is up in the 250s or 300 a year nationwide, and the next ones are, rip tides. Actually, rip currents are almost number two in the last 10 years. And then extreme cold, and then you finally get the flooding. Flash flooding is the next, weather related one in there. And then tornadoes is below that. So heat can cause a lot of problems very quickly, because it's everywhere. It's not like, a tornado path went through and that's it. It's heat. It's everywhere. And, so you have to figure out a plan to counteract that. Have a place to go for air conditioning, or, get in your car and turn it on and just sit in that if you have nothing else. Have a plan that if heat starts to impact you and you need to be outside for whatever reason, you're ready to go to keep yourself safe.
Visit weather.gov/Lincoln for more on this week's weather forecast. Keep it to the Heart Media Group this week for the latest in heat advisories or heat warnings. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs, with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
It's the quiet moments you count on. A call that connects instantly, a show that never buffers, a home that just works. That's the difference with Connexus Fiber Internet. We built a buried fiber network designed for consistency, earning us the title of top-rated fiber internet provider in Illinois. With plans starting as low as $25 a month and 3-year price lock options, it's reliability you can feel without the unpredictability. Because with Connexus, connection means everything. Experience better at Connexus.com. Nothing Connexus like Connexus.
News time is 23 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. As we hit the midpoint of the year, those who may have retired at the beginning of the year could be finding themselves with the urge to return to part-time employment to pass the time. Jack Myers with Social Security explains that if you receive disability-based Social Security benefits or SSI benefits, Different rules apply, and you must report all earnings.
Yeah, Seth, they definitely can. And there is potentially going to be a limit, though, on how much they can work and earn. The reason that I say that, and the reason I say potentially, is because it all kind of hinges upon their age. Once, and it is important also to keep in mind that the limits I'm about to discuss pertain to non-disability based benefits, because there's a whole different set of rules if the benefits you receive from us are based on being disabled. But for retirement benefits, spousal benefits, widows or widowers benefits, these are the rules for working and collecting benefits. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, am I at my full retirement age or older? So full retirement age is going to be, if you're born 1960 or later, it's 67. If you were born 1943 through 54, it's 66. And if you were born 55 through 59, it's somewhere between 66 and 67. So that's part of it. You got to understand that. Am I at or older than my full retirement age? And the significance of that is, once you are at or beyond your full retirement age, there is no earnings limit. So you could work and you could earn as much money as you want, and it will have zero impact on your eligibility for Social Security benefits.
According to Myers, if you reach full retirement age this year, you can earn up to $65,160 between month before you attain full retirement age.
There's also kind of a nuance in the calendar year that you get to full retirement age. So if you are going to be at full retirement age sometime this year, but for part of the year you're under, you are subject to a limit for the part of the year that you're under full retirement age, but the limit's pretty high in that scenario. And that one particular year, the portion of the year that you're under full retirement age, you could earn up to $65,160 without impacting your Social Security. So, for a lot of people, that is higher than they plan to work and earn, for a partial year once they're retired. So, it's not really much of an issue for most people.
Myers points out to keep in mind that these limits only pertain if you choose to collect monthly benefits prior to attainment of full retirement. Additionally, these limits only apply to earned income, gross wages, or net earnings from self-employment.
Where you kind of run into issues are the earlier years, okay? So you could start collecting Social Security retirement benefits at 62 if you want. Mm-hmm. So you could be under full retirement age for several years, 62, 63, 64, 65, maybe even 66, depending on where you land with that full retirement age. And in those calendar years, you are going to be subject to a much lower earned income limit. So in 2026, that limit for those who are under full retirement age for the entire year is $24,480. So you would have to stay below that in earned income if you didn't want to have any negative impact on your Social Security retirement benefits. Now, keep in mind, if you're not collecting benefits, of course, it doesn't matter. That's out the window. This is only if you want to work and receive Social Security retirement or spousal or surviving spousal benefit.
We'll have more with Myers next week on some of the other specific scenarios relating to returning to work while receiving retirement benefits. In the meantime, visit ssa.gov for more. Construction season is underway across the state, and leaders from the Illinois Department of Transportation are encouraging driver safety as more highways are covered in orange barrels. Paul Wappel, spokesman for IDOT, says drivers need to slow down and pay attention.
When you see orange, and you're going to see a lot of it this summer. I know summer isn't officially started, but unofficially it has. There are work zones going on all over the state, including Bloomington, Normal, Central Illinois. And, we see way too many crashes. Our goal is 0 fatalities. We've already had a couple, 3 fatalities already this year in work zones. Please slow down, Always have your seatbelt on. Don't use the phone. Drop it. It's against the law. Pay attention. Go the posted speed limit, and just avoid all distractions. You know, if you're trying to drink something or eat something, put it down. You got to pay extra attention in those work zones. You know, we want everybody to get home safely, not just the workers. We want all the motorists and their passengers. The majority of people like killed in work zones actually aren't the workers. It's the motorists and their passengers. So again, the goal is 0 fatalities, but please just, use your common sense and, in a construction zone, work zone, it could be a small crew patching potholes, or it could be a lot of workers on an interstate reconstruction project that goes several miles. It could be anything. The crews picking up litter, all of those are work zones. So please slow down, pay attention when you see the orange barrels, orange cones, and just so everybody gets home at the end of the day.
Each year, IDOT reports nearly 6,200 accidents in work zones across the state, resulting in more than 1,000 injuries. In 2025, 35 drivers died in work zone accidents. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWitt County's #1 source for news, sports, police blotter, obituaries, and more. It's DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. It just may be the biggest challenge yet to the fragile Mideast ceasefire. Iran has fired missiles at Israel. Israel has fired back. President Trump has been trying to get both sides to quit fighting and keep negotiating a permanent deal to end all hostilities. Oil prices have been on the rise in the midst of this flare-up of unrest. $4.16 a gallon is AAA's national average for regular gas. As of this morning, that is down 1 penny from yesterday. President Trump plans to attend tonight's NBA Finals at New York's Madison Square Garden. Security being tightened, especially given last night's incident. A dozen people injured, make that a half dozen injured in a knife attack just downstairs from the Garden in Penn Station in New York. Stock futures now in positive territory. Dow futures up 104 points. The NASDAQ futures ahead 352. More details at srnnews.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at 2 different options: debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5496.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement. And remember, Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-936-5496.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. Brandon Marsh homered for the 3rd straight day and drove in 2 runs. Rafael Marchand also went deep, and the Philadelphia Phillies beat the Chicago White Sox 9-5 on Sunday.
The White Sox had a hard time keeping the Phillies' bats in check during the rubber game of their series in Philly on Sunday afternoon. The National League's leading hitter, Brandon Marsh, upped his average to a Major League best .338, while tagging the Sox for a home run in every game of the series.
Swinging a well-hit fly out into deep left. Back on it, Antonacci, and it is a home run. Wow. For Brandon Marsh.
Oh, my. 9-5 final. Loss drops the Sox to 34-31, but they still sit 2 games back of Cleveland for first place. I'm Jeff Meller. I'll have your pregame coverage for the White Sox and Braves on Tuesday starting at 6 p.m. on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
The Sox are back on WHOW on Tuesday as they play host to the Atlanta Braves to kick off a 3-game series. Pregame starts at 6 p.m. Brian Torres homered, Jordan Walker hit an RBI double, and the St. Louis Cardinals scored on 2 errors in the 8th inning to rally past the Cincinnati Reds 5-3 on Sunday to sweep the series. Victor Scott II dribbled a sacrifice bunt to Reds pitcher Sam Mull that he threw past the third baseman to score Alec Burleson and give St. Louis a 4-3 lead. Ivan Herrera reached on a fielding error by shortstop Matt McLean soon after, adding an insurance run. Walker got the Cardinals on the board with his 1-run single in the 5th before Torres hammered his 2nd career home run over the right field wall for St. Louis's first lead of the game at 3-2. Both of Torres's homers came against the Reds. Ryan Stanek is 2-0 and threw the final 2 outs of the 8th inning and struck out 1. Riley O'Brien earned his 17th save of the season in a scoreless 9th. McLean and Tyler Stevenson hit back-to-back solo home runs in the 3rd inning to put the Reds ahead 2-0 early. McLean homered again in the 7th to tie the game 3-3. It was his 3rd home run in 2 days and his 2nd career multi-homer game. Mull is 1-5 and allowed 2 runs and 2 hits without recording an out for the Reds, while Chris Paddock blew his first save of the season. Rhett Lauder made his first start off of the injured list for the Reds and threw 3 innings, walking 5 and striking out 4. The Reds have lost 8 of their last 10 games and have dropped 4 straight. After starting the season at 20-11, they have gone 11-22 since. They are 2-13 in the NL Central. Cincinnati lefty Andrew Abbott is 4-3 with a 4.06 ERA and takes the mound for the Reds in the opening game of a series against the Padres on Monday. The Cardinals have yet to announce a starter for their series opener against the Mets on Tuesday. Matt Chapman singled to drive in automatic runner Jonah Cox in the 10th inning, lifting the San Francisco Giants over the Chicago Cubs 2-1 on Sunday night for their 4th win in their last 5 games. Chapman lined the second pitch from Trent Thornton, who is 2-2, to center, and Cox, pinch running for Bryce Eldridge, scored from second base as the Giants took 2 of 3 at Wrigley Field and dealt the Cubs their 20th loss in 27 games. Keaton Wynn is 2-1 and pitched a scoreless 9th for the win, working around a single and a walk. Dylan Smith tossed a perfect 10th for his first major league save, getting Alex Bregman to pop out and stranding Pete Crow Armstrong at third. Javier Assad threw 6 1/3 shutout innings and allowed only Chapman's infield single, along with a walk and a hit batter, after coming in for Cubs starter Jamison Talon, who exited with a strained left hamstring with no outs in the 2nd. Talon said after the game he thinks he's headed to the injured list. Assad struck out 5 following his recall from AAA on Saturday for a 2nd stint with the Cubs this season. The right-hander retired the last 12 Giants he faced before Jacob Webb took over in the 8th. Jung-Hoo Lee had an RBI single in the 1st to stretch his hitting streak to 15 games. Crow Armstrong extended his career-high hitting streak to 12 games with a single. Moises Ballesteros singled in a run in the 3rd. Giants starter Trevor McDonald allowed 1 run on 4 hits in 5 innings. Talon exited after walking Chapman to lead off the 2nd. The right-hander allowed 1 run and 2 hits and walked 2. Giants right-hander Logan Webb is 3-4 with a 4.25 ERA and gets the start Monday in San Francisco against Washington righty Miles Michaelis, who is 1-5 with a 6.39 ERA. Cubs right-hander Colin Reyes, 5-3 with a 4.45 ERA, and will face Rockies right-hander Tomoyuki Sugano, who is 5-4 with a 3.98 ERA on Tuesday in Colorado. In scores from around the MLB yesterday, the New York Yankees beat the Boston Red Sox 6-1, while the Atlanta Braves took down the Pittsburgh Pirates 3-2. The Toronto Blue Jays beat the Baltimore Orioles 6-4, and the Detroit Tigers took down the Seattle Mariners 5-4. The Miami Marlins beat the Tampa Bay Rays 4-1, while the Athletics shut out the Houston Astros 5-0. The Kansas City Royals beat the Minnesota Twins 6-5, while the Texas Rangers routed the Cleveland Guardians 10-0, and the Milwaukee Brewers beat the Colorado Rockies 12-4, while the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Washington Nationals 5-1. The Los Angeles Angels routed the Los Angeles Dodgers in a crosstown game 13-5, while the New York Mets beat the San Diego Padres 7-3. In high school softball state championship scores from Saturday at the Peoria Slugger Stadium. In Class 1A, Dakota took the win, beating Waltonville 2-1, while in Class 2A, Carterville took down Seneca 3-1. In Class 3A, for the third place game, Fenwick shut out Dunlap 1-0, while for the championship, Antioch took down Chatham Glenwood 7-2. In Class 4A, for third place, Marist shut out Oswego 6-0, while for the Class 4A championship, Lincoln Way West beat Mundelein 6-1. In high school baseball sectional championship scores from Saturday, in Class 1A, top seed Tremont beat second seed Lexington 7-4, while top-seeded Armstrong knocked out the fourth seed Gibson City Melvin Sibley 4-3. In Class 2A, 1 seed St. Joseph Ogden beat 2 seed Tolono Unity 6-4 in 9 innings, while the third seed Williamsville upset top-seeded Pleasant Plains 3-0 at Pleasant Plains. In Class 3A, 1 seed Normal U High beat second seed Champaign Central 2-0, while second seed East Peoria beat top-seeded Dunlap 5-3. In high school Super-Sectional Championship matchups for today, in Class 1A, 1 seed Tremont takes on top-seeded Armstrong at Illinois Wesleyan at 6 p.m., while in Class 2A, top-seeded St. Joseph Ogden takes on third-seed Williamsville at Lincoln Land Community College at 7 p.m. And in Class 3A, top-seeded Normal U High takes on 1-seed Triad at Milliken at 6 p.m. And 1-seed Geneva takes on second-seed East Peoria at Geneseo at 6 p.m. In the NHL fight for the Stanley Cup, the Las Vegas Golden Knights beat the Carolina Hurricanes 5-4 in double overtime on Saturday. The Golden Knights now lead the series 2-1 over the Canes and will play the next game in the series in Vegas on Tuesday. In the NBA Finals battle, the New York Knicks beat the San Antonio Spurs 105-104 on Friday. The Knicks take the 2-0 lead in the series, and they'll play the next game in San Antonio today on Monday. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. A flood watch continues until 1 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thunderstorms likely today, otherwise cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 83. South winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Thunderstorms likely tonight, lows level off around 70, mainly cloudy skies expected. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently 76.
Let's check Ag News on the RFD Radio Network. I'm DeLois Yonke. USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins will attend off-the-record briefings today at the new U.S. Livestock Insects Research Laboratory in Texas. Following the briefing, she will host a standing press conference